Hello and a warm welcome to the Independent Advantage, brought to you by ASI Financial Services. This is the show where we're going to be talking all things financial advice. We're going to delve into the independent financial advice and the value it brings and the better outcomes it may provide for you to be able to secure your financial future. My name is Nicolette Mashile, and of course I am your financial bunny. And in today's episode, where we're going to be looking at employee benefits, and of course if you are investing or you are seeking financial advice outside of South Africa, how does it all come together? And joining me in this conversation is Thami Skhosana, who's Business Unit Director at ASI Financial Services, and Paul Mafisa, who's Business Development Manager at ASI Financial Services. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Nicolette, for having us.
Thank you for being here and making the time. And I think I want to start off our conversation speaking a little bit about when we talk about employee benefits. What is employee benefits on one side of the conversation? And then on the other side of the conversation, what is employee benefits at ASI?
Interesting. And thank you for asking that question. I must say that employee benefits are a structure of benefits that are being offered by the employer to give some sort of benefit to employees in terms of protecting whatever risk that they're trying to protect on behalf of those employees. So they look like healthcare, they look like group risk benefits, they look like retirement fund benefits. And of late, we've seen a lot of wellness as well that is being incorporated into that. And the employer is trying to help the employee mitigate certain risks.
Okay.
In the healthcare space, you'll find that employees need to see doctors from time to time. And therefore, if you expect the employee to go seek these benefits on their own, they might not necessarily find the right type of solution. And hence the employer takes on that initiative of getting them healthcare benefits so they can go to the doctor and come back in a short space of time so that they can remain productive. And that goes well for group risk as well. You know, there's certain risks operationally that you find that employees face, whether it be being on the road, operating machinery and so forth, that could actually lead to certain risks being faced, such as death, disability and so forth. And they would then structure a package of these group risk benefits to help the employee be protected should that event take place. And then the last, or one of them, is the retirement fund space as well. We've seen that employees work and dedicate their time to an employer over a long space of time, and therefore would want to see themselves retire off well. This is a mechanism that helps them save money for retirement. And the one other point I just mentioned now that has come into space is the wellness space. We live in a space and time where there's a lot of trauma that is being experienced by employees, whether it be crime, whether it be socio-economic issues that take place within the household, that would require this type of solution to be in place in order to protect that particular space. And that's what employee benefits are from an employer point of view.
Yes.
But now you're bringing the question of what is employee benefits to ASI.
Yes.
I must say that employee benefits for ASI is what started the business to begin with.
Okay.
Because we realized that what I've just mentioned to you, painted as a picture, doesn't necessarily take place anymore. Employee benefits are no longer beneficial to the employee. So
they're inward looking to employer.
Quite correct.
Okay.
And it becomes a tick box exercise. That's why it's inward looking. It's to say, have we done this? Have we done this? Have we done? But there's no one actually in space or in that place to assess whether these employee benefits are still benefiting those employees. And that's what we do at ASI. Is that we monitor the impact of these employee benefits on the employee. We help the employer restructure these benefits so that they remain impactful and efficient, cost effective, and are being utilized by these employees. But at the same time, they need to be adding value to the employee and their beneficiaries.
Yes.
So that's what we do at ASI.
I like that value proposition because it speaks to protecting both employer and employee, but more than just for the employee as a protection mechanism or something that gives them value, it gives them a holistic view of what my financial world is going to actually look like, right? What is the role that my employer is playing, but are they doing it in a manner that is beneficial to me? Paul.
Yes.
The South African landscape, the South African organizations, South African corporates,
Yes.
how open are they to offering employee benefits?
The corporates now are open because you're having now younger decision makers who've been through this journey on their own, in their own personal capacity before. They've seen mistakes, they've seen opportunities, they know what doesn't work. Now they come into a space where they're now making decisions about benefit. So corporates are starting to realize the importance of this, because if you have people like us as ASI, where you can measure the impact and can see, okay, this has moved my employees from X to Y. And that is what I was looking for. Therefore, corporates are starting to open up by seeing these things to say, look, I'm having a healthier employee base. Therefore, these are important. They're not just things that are there, because they used to be called employee benefits. Employees used to say these are things that the employer has there. They don't
Fringe benefits.
They don't talk to me. But once they start seeing that actually I need to start planning my life for what my employer has put in place and just complement or supplement what is the gap and not duplicate. Then you start seeing people saying, wait a minute, these benefits do help me save money, which puts money back into me, which improves my lifestyle. Therefore, that is the message that corporates are starting to see come through, which they are opening up to.
And I guess now when you have like this very robust young workforce, they can easily push back and say, this retirement that you are putting in front of us is not really suitable for us, or we want something else. We want mental health wellness, we want financial wellness within our employee benefits. So I think that for me is a very interesting nuance that your company and your department now needs to deal with to try and balance out making the employer happy, but also making sure that they get the highest impact for the employee. So I want to talk a little bit about why then wouldn't a person go direct? Why do I need your work? Why do I need your services? What is the value in the advice that you give?
That's an interesting question, especially when you place it in the context of the multi-generational workforce that we find in the market today. Is that within the three models of independence, tied agencies, and direct buying from the market, you will find that the direct channel misses that human point, where the advisor is able to actually look at your data from a specific point of view to say, Nicolette is this type of demographic, this age, this income. These are her financial legacy plans. Because as an individual or as an independent advisor, I need to understand, what is it that you're planning for? Why are you earning this income? Because nobody goes to work just to earn an income. We earn the income so that we can protect certain risks that me and my family could face. There's certain things that you would understand about yourself, health-wise, future-wise, family-wise, that you'd need to actually be ready for. And hence, you going direct, you might get the cheapest product in the market, but does it actually tell you about what it is that you're going to face at claim stage, for instance? Because the technical jargon that comes with it, that doesn't allow you to actually see through what's really going to happen, might be the issue. So it is a matter of an employee being able to say, I do want cost-effective solutions, but I still need somebody who can actually give me an understanding of what am I signing into? What are the T's and C's? Do I understand the independence of this product, or is it linked to something else? Do I have the ability to get out of this product as expected by the treating the customers fairly principles and so forth? So it is when the advisor comes into the space that you are able to have a discussion that actually leads to you seeing better outcomes from what you're going to purchase. It might be not cheap, but it might be relevant to your needs and what you're trying to protect for.
Because I guess that was going to be the next question that I wanted to speak about, right? Is that from a cost perspective, it always comes across like if I go direct without the intermediary in between, it's going to be cheaper for me. But I have learned over the years, and then a couple of months ago, I did an example of balloon payments, and I was like, yeah, your monthly payments may be cheaper, but the total cost of credit then becomes bigger, right? So what is the total cost that we are not accounting for when we go direct? So think about it from a balloon payment perspective. Like, they lower your installments. So yes, you've got this little balloon that's waiting for you at the end. So totally, you're going to pay a whole lot of money at the end. But right now, today's money looks small, so I'm in it. So if I do the same thing with the employee benefits or the products that are generally under the umbrella of employee benefits, and I'm like, no, I'm going to fetch that retirement because there I pay 50 rand. If I bring in an intermediary, now I'm paying 100 rand, right? What am I missing? What am I not seeing as the bigger picture?
I think there's a cost long-term wise that you might not be seeing. For instance, the ability of an advisor to actually intervene on your behalf allows the intermediary to go into market and see what sustainable solutions are available. Because you might be buying cheap,
yes,
but you're not necessarily using the same matrix that the advisor is using to say this product house is not sustainable. And then when there's legislative changes, for instance, you end up finding yourself in a fund that's not sustainable because there's a two-part system.
Oh, they have not been sending your money.
Quite correct.
Oh, they have not been paying tax.
Quite correct. Simple example as well in the healthcare space is the certain schemes that go under curatorship, that go under liquidation.
Yes.
But if you don't have an advisor to give you a sense of this is a sustainable scheme, this is not a sustainable scheme, you will buy according to price. And the price is there to hook you in. But you're not seeing the long-term outcomes of where that scheme is going in terms of sustainability. And an advisor is there to tell you, these are the matrix that I'm using to choose which scheme you're going to. It's not just income. It's not just affordability, it's also the benefits, it's also the sustainability of the scheme itself and how far it will be able to last if claims such as the pandemic that we've just come out of had to come in. So those are the type of things that an employee or an individual might not be thinking of. And in the long run, you might find yourself in that space when you are now claiming and your claim is being repudiated because there's certain things that somebody who had the expertise could have told you about if you had known. So that is where I see there being a challenge. And we need to balance this thing out between technology, affordability, and the benefits that work for employees or members. Is that as advisors as well, I must say that we also need to take responsibility. You know, advisors and our peers and competitors have actually gone into a space where they are reactionary in their model. Where they react to just dealing with the claims and the queries and the complaints related.
The admin. Yes.
Of which a lot of technology can do these days. You need an independent advisor who's willing to take on the hard work of putting in the data, learning from the data, and making sure that whatever they pick up out of the data is going to be applied across the board in the helping of the broader community. We can't have companies within the same industry still making the same mistake that another company was 10 years ago. Exactly. We need to be able to actually help industries get out of that. And hence, I purely enjoy the fact that some of our pillars of success, if you look at ASI's pillars of success, they speak to trust, they speak to financial literacy, and they speak to community upliftment. If you are, as an individual, going to be looking for a product in the market, you need to test them against these three things. To say, how do they build my trust towards their product? Can't just be the product that I'm looking at. They need to be able to actually give me so much information that I have confidence, not in only the product, but in the fact that it's going to help me out. Secondly, does it help me in any other way to actually uplift my financial literacy levels? Do I understand this product better? In understanding this product, it helps me understand other products. And in that sense, I'm able to then sit at home on a Sunday afternoon having that Sunday lunch to say, but did you know that this is how funeral cover works? Because those are the things that we are missing out on as advisors in building a bigger, a larger base of people who understand the products.
Absolutely.
We are not there to just sell products.
Yeah.
We are there to bring an understanding that's impactful not only to the individual, but to the community at large as well.
And I guess that's probably a sustainable way of looking at financial products and services, right? Because I think it's much easier when somebody understands what it is that they are purchasing. And they won't see it as a purchase. They'll see it as an aid to their life. Paul, when you are going to corporates and you have to deal with the fact that there is a 60-year-old workforce, there's a 30-year-old workforce, there's a black and a white and an Indian. How do you bring that all together to still be able to give them relevant financial advice within their employee benefit space?
Okay, thanks for the question. We always say when we walk into boardrooms and have conversations, the people deciding across the board, they think of themselves first.
Yes, of course.
As part of this solution.
Yes.
How is it impacting me before I make the decision?
Yes.
Therefore, that's why the model we are using is purely data-driven. I mean, data tells us we walk into an organization, this is the segmentation of employees. And we always say in our conversations, this is the first time 5 generations are working in one employer. Therefore, the one brush for all doesn't work. You need to segment and understand this demographic. What do they need? What's important to them? How do you communicate with them? The older ones, they are getting to that stage where they're starting to be jittery. Am I okay? Am I not okay? How do you intervene? How do you give them solutions that talks to that? So when we get in there, you need to demarcate that and really critically assess this employer and saying, what I'm putting in place, would it suit this different demographic and how? That's why flexibility is very important. And people are looking, younger generations are looking for flexibility. Get into them and say, why do I need to stick to this type of thing? Why can't I go this way or go this way? So you need to be cognizant of that. The older ones are saying, I'm fine with this. I'm fine with this.
What I know.
Yeah, this is the way it is. This brick, I'm fine with it. I'll carry this brick. So you need to understand both sides of them and need to accommodate both this type of demographic, all 5 levels of them, which is quite important in how you communicate and what you put in front of them.
I like that you use the word flexibility, because in my head, as I'm thinking about independent and tied, I'm like, it must be so difficult to be able to be flexible with what you can put in front of the corporate if you are tied to a specific offering, right?
That is true.
What's the danger in that?
That's true. I usually use analogies.
Yes. Give us an analogy.
So let's do an analogy of a doctor.
Okay.
You go into a doctor, the first thing the doctor does is check and then recommend. Their independence from the medication they're going to give you gives them a plethora of solutions for you. Imagine if you walked into a doctor and he has a basket of medication already there. And you say, I'm CoFi, is like, no, I only have Mhlonya. It does not talk to my needs. It will not address my needs. But because this other doctor, proper doctor, has diagnosed me, this is your issues, and they've recommended solutions that are outside of them that are best for me. So that's the approach that we use. We're using the proper doctor approach to say, let's diagnose you first, let's find what your problems are, let's find where you... we're not saying all the time we find corporates having bad. Sometimes they are good benefits. Saying they are good, but you just need to tweak here so that the impact becomes even good. Better. So our independence allows us to say these are solutions that we can put in place to help you get to this. We don't have a basket that we came to you with. So that is the difference.
And you're not tied to a specific. So even if we were to go to the pharmacy and the pharmacy says, can I offer you the generic? It's still okay as long as it speaks to your need. And
it does the same thing that you expect it to do, because it's not tied to that brand that he needs to. And they have a target that you need by the end of this day, these 5 must go out. We don't operate on that model. We operate on a solution-based model where we can get a solution anywhere in the financial services industry, which is what we're looking for, that will give greater impact to employees.
I think the question that should also be asked is, why do we find the situation as it is?
Yes.
because perhaps the market wants to keep it the way it is. When we talk about only 14% of independent advisors being available in the market, it's because there's a construct that's taking place where the insurer is also the player in the advisory space.
Okay, no, slow it down. All right. So you're saying you're finding that the insurer themselves are also offering advice while they are the product provider at the same time.
Quite correct.
Uh-huh.
So the insurer then goes out into the market and gets a legion or an army of their own tied advisors who go through their own academy of learning this product and then hitting the market hard. But what that does to the market is that it actually oversupplies one particular product over another. And then members then start utilizing things such as marketing and branding as a tool of choice, making decision. And that can't be right.
So it's the loudest is the one who gets seen as the most effective.
Quite correct.
But it's not always correct for all of us.
Quite correct, because you must ask yourself the question. In every financial services phone call, you always get the first line that speaks to I need to inform you this call is being recorded.
Yes.
Every financial services conversation.
Has to do that, yes.
But there's no every time that you're speaking to them that they tell you, I need to tell you that I'm a tied agent to a particular insurer.
So you think from the other side, they are offering you what is the best, but it might be because, as you said, their basket is limited. And that's all they can actually offer you.
Quite correct.
Sure. So how does the consumer then make a distinction?
The consumer can't make a distinction. The consumer could have to read that contract and read all the fine print and get an understanding of who owns this product and who owns the insurer.
Oh, and we're not doing that.
And
we don't even read the policy schedule. Forget reading all of those other things.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So that's why it's key that even the regulatory bodies could play a role in actually emphasizing the fact that you need to inform an employee or a member that's buying, whether they're buying directly or you are having an outbound campaign. You need to tell them, I actually come from this product house and I'm an advisor, because they can't say they're independent. And by the way, they still put it on their websites as being independent
advisor,
when they are necessarily not, and they are owned by the insurer. So it is quite an uphill battle for independent advisors to actually be able to communicate this to each and every corporate and individual to say, but I'm an independent advisor. You must be confident that the information I'm going to give you, like my colleague put out, that it's data driven, it's objective, it's not subjective. I'm not tied to any insurer house. I'm not incentivized, by the way, with any overseas trips to actually sell you a particular product. And hence, the balance between advice and sales is quite key, because if you're a tied agent, you will actually blur the line, because your advice is actually driven by sales.
Will CoFi help fix this? I'm just like, what's happening, guys? Regulation must come to the fore.
Regulation has been applied.
Okay.
But we are saying, has it been applied enough? Just like the example I just gave you.
Yes.
Regulation has been applied to tell you that this call is being recorded.
Yes.
But is that the most important thing you need to hear in that conversation?
Not necessarily.
Perhaps the most important thing you need to hear is that this advice I'm going to give you is linked to a particular product house. I have been trained by this particular product house for how many years? Disclose it.
Yes.
Tell us where you've been getting your training. Because as an independent advisor, I am expected to know all the products that are available in the market, so that when you do have that conversation with me and Paul, then we are able to tell you, actually, your solution is going to be based out of these top 10 product houses. It's objective. It's still giving everyone a fair chance to bid for your business, but we're also not limiting the client
to what is available,
one particular product.
And to just add on, Thami, there are regulations in place. I mean, in the retirement fund space, there's regulation that tells you that a provider cannot be the referee linesman.
I was about, yes.
There's regulation for it. But employers, whenever you start telling them you have a regulation type of conflict, start looking at you funny.
Yeah, because that's not their industry.
That's not their industry.
You're telling me something that I feel like you should have. I don't know how we mitigate. Yes.
So regulation is there, is just not enforced to the manner that it is to be enforced, and it unfortunately affects members because they're the ones who suffer there.
Is it not the easier way to do it? Are they not falling for it because it's easier? It's easier if you just come with one solution and say, here's a solution for your company, and then I don't have to be, as the employer, to sit there and try and understand the different options you've put in front of me.
But then I'll ask, why does it have to be easy when you're trying to protect a person's life?
It's a good question.
And a financial legacy.
It's a good question. But I guess some of them are doing it as tick box exercises. I just want to do this. I just want to offer my employees something so that I don't look like the bad person in the market who I don't offer. And because, let's be fair, sometimes HR does use that as a competitive edge to bring in talented human capital, right?
Correct.
So perhaps maybe that's what, I'm just trying to make sure that it's there, you have it. But hey man, let's make this process quick.
The other side of that coin is that if you look at the hard road taken, if they had to choose to take the hard road, you'd still be getting the best benefit in place.
Absolutely.
That's still able to attract the best talent in the market. It's cost effective. You know your employees are going to utilize it at an optimal level, and it's relevant to you and your employees. How do you then lose loyalty from your employees, them jumping from one employer to the next, if they know that this is the best? This is the best vehicle in the market.
Yes.
So that's the other side of the coin. But there needs to be an employer or a client that's willing to take the hard yards first, and then everything else is smooth sailing.
I want to bring medical aid into this conversation because it's a pain point for me. Hey, medical aid, guys. No, man. I don't know. I've been lucky enough to have been employed where medical aid was offered. And I often find, I don't know if it's a suitability issue or if the employer has signed to this specific product provider. Now we must all just be painted, and we are not all the same. So what is the data points you look for medical aid specifically when you are comparing it to a workforce?
So in our world, we don't speak medical aid, we speak healthcare.
Healthcare, yes.
Because medical aid is part of healthcare.
Yes.
So
also you're adding body gap cover and medical insurance and all that.
And because the world has changed.
Yes.
Traditional route of medical aid is no longer the most plausible for everyone, and does relate to everyone. It belongs to the 5 generations. There's of the 5 generations, someone who says, but why do I need to have this thing? I'm Nicolette Mashile, Nicolette, I run, I'm healthy. I need something that will talk to my needs. Therefore, I see value in only having a hospital plan with a health insurance with gap. It's 40% cheaper than traditional medical aid. I'm fine with it. When you get to someone who says, here, I've been with this medical aid for the past 10 years and I'm not moving. It's fine. So you need to understand this employer from the data to say how do I satisfy this type of demographics with what is available in the healthcare space, not only in the medical aid.
Yes.
Because that's where the problem is. Some of our counterparts where they trained on medical aid.
Yes.
They can only they can only sell a certain product which is medical aid related. They're trying to get out of that, which is good. But if you don't have the hindsight of saying, let's look at an employer from a healthcare perspective, not from a medical aid perspective.
Sure.
Because you might find that the solution there is just we see now there's healthcare cards.
Healthcare vouchers.
Where when someone gets sick, employers just give you a voucher, go to
and you can go to the doctor and be able to come back.
Those are solutions within the healthcare space, which could work for an employer. But if you have to summarize everything to medical aid, the solution you're putting in,
it's already limited.
It's limited.
Yes.
And you can only do that when you are tied to a medical aid provider.
Yes.
And that is where they're channeling you to. But if you're an independent, you look at healthcare from a 360-degree.
But that's so biased then. I mean, I'm like, this is such an interesting conversation because I don't think I've ever even thought an employer could make available healthcare insurance or gap cover. It's always been like, we have a medical aid and you are now, and I mean, sometimes you look at medical aid costs and, you know, especially if your employer is not contributing and it's ideally just you contributing. And often what then happens, especially young people, is that we then opt for the cheapest one.
Correct.
But the cheapest one doesn't really suit my needs.
Correct.
You know, I have PMBs, I've got all sorts of things, you know, that I need to account for. I'm planning on having a baby in the next year, but I have no maternity in that medical aid that I've selected. You know? But because I'm in a corner, you know, from a financial standpoint. So it's very interesting that you guys are able to bring that to the employer and say, here's a spectrum of things that are available.
Yeah.
How are they receiving that?
The market is changing,
Yes.
as we've pointed out, and there's new decision makers that are coming on board, and they are challenging the advisory space
Yes.
to think differently. And it is up to us as advisors to actually bring ourselves to that level where we do really think differently and apply different mechanisms as solutions. For instance, this youth cohort of employees, they're so used to PlayStation vouchers that a healthcare voucher
Makes sense to them.
Makes sense to them.
Yes.
They're using it anyways.
Yes.
So therefore, when you offer it to them, you are speaking to them in a language that they understand.
Yeah.
So therefore, it is imperative that as an independent advisor, you apply the data to where the needs are. You read the data, you interpret the data, and the data then allows you to go seek in the market different types of solutions that you could apply to the different segments of employees. As Paul has pointed out, we can't ignore the fact that there's different segments of employees and we need to speak to them in a language that they understand, and that is applying healthcare solutions that speak to that. And the employer as well. The employer can't just be looking at it from what are we offering them. There's other areas that they are affected healthcare wise. Some employers have clinics on site, occupational health, injuries on duty. All of these things, they should be able to bring them to their advisor, and the advisor should be so expertise on it that they should be able to deliver solutions in that regard.
Wow. It's such a game changer. I really like it. And I'm hoping that, you know, we do have heads of HR, human capital, chief HR officers that are watching right now, because I think it's such an interesting way of looking at employee benefits and really giving your employees the best that can potentially be given to them. I want to talk about, and I'm going to do a very long reach, so work with me, right? In South Africa, we seem to have an issue of unclaimed benefits. And in my head, the connection, if there's unclaimed benefits, it means that perhaps maybe the people didn't know they had those benefits. Maybe the person is deceased, the member, and the family doesn't know, right? So I know in a Moonstone article, it points, or analysis of industry points to intermediary brands meeting expectations a little bit better, and due to the fact that there's advice at inception and of course advice at claiming. Is it possible that there is some advantage to having that independent financial advisor, especially for someone like a Jimmy comes to Joburg? Nicolette comes to Joburg, I'm working for this big corporate, I pass away, my family comes and fetches the corpse, and that's the end of it. Can I say confidently that as an independent financial advisor, you would step in to also help me with that claim or help my family post my death?
It's a very serious question that you're asking, and I think you're referring to a history where we've seen that a lot of employees were not claiming from their benefits to such a point that a whole industry was created. We have service providers that go out not only in South Africa looking for beneficiaries, but even across the borders into the continent, in the mining space especially, where you find there's a lot of unclaimed benefits. So as an advisor, it is important for us as advisors to understand that my responsibility does not only lie with you as the person that I'm advising, because I'm having these interactions with you, whether it be on a weekly basis when I'm on site or on a quarterly basis. Whenever I'm having these interactions with Nicolette would have expressed to me their financial legacy and who it involves. There's a partner involved, there's children involved, there's extended family, whatever you would have communicated to me. If anything had to happen to you, I need to be able to take the next step to say, post your burial,
Yes.
have the necessary forms been completed, have the necessary steps been taken to protect those beneficiaries that you've spoken about. And you find in some instances there are issues that we would know as advisors that your partner might not even.
Absolutely.
That child that you had when you were a youngster that they don't know about needs to be protected should something happen. And you would have expressed that there's a certain portion you'd like to see that child enjoy. And hence it is important to have somebody who's got your best interests at heart and are not personally involved in such a way that it becomes subjective.
Yes.
That, no, I'm protecting my family, therefore I'm not telling the other spouse
Yes.
or the baby mama that you have passed, and therefore I don't want them to claim. As an independent advisor, I have the responsibility to ensure that all those you have put in that particular form as your beneficiaries, that they do get the benefit of your estate.
And they are accounted for.
Quite correct.
And I like that you speak about outside of South Africa, because, I mean, let's think about it. We're in a very interesting time. If from a relationship perspective, you know, we've got nationalities across state lines that are marrying, or they're working in South Africa. Someone's working in a Ghana, or you're working in Nigeria.
Yes.
And how do you then bring all of that and consolidate it together? If Mama bush, you know, she might not know how to do that. And I guess that's the expertise that you are saying to me lies, or not even the expertise, the value rather, lies in independent financial advice.
Quite true. If you can elaborate.
So I think one of the mistakes that advisors do, especially in the employee benefit space, is to think that their client is the employer. The employer is the vehicle to the client, which is the employee.
Yes.
So as an independent advisor, you have that recognition that my actual boss is the employee. Therefore, you will make it concerted effort to understand the demographic of that employee, where they come from, who they're protecting, who they're creating legacies for, what environment they come from, because you recognize that the employer is just a vehicle to the actual, because that's why they are called employee
Benefits, not employer.
So I think the problem that we're facing is my client is Nicolette Mashile, Pty Ltd. Therefore, I'll service them to that level. These other people, we see them as irritations.
Yeah,
When
but they
don't pay my salary.
Yes.
But that percentage of consulting fee that comes from a contribution comes from the pocket of an employee.
Absolutely.
You need to recognize that for you to be an advisor that understands this type of things. And it's that realization that we do as independent advisors to say, employer, thank you, giving us access to this. This is what we need to do, because that's what you're protecting anyway.
But how much power do employees then have? Like, as a consumer who's working for an employer, how much power do I have? Let's say, you know, we always say, send your kids to private schools so that they can get networks. It's not necessarily the quality of education. Yes, we agree, it's great.
The quality of
but
network.
It's the quality of the network. It's the quality of the call that says, hey, man, Paul, my son just graduated as a CFP. He needs a book, you know. What power do I have as an employee of an organization to say, I'm not having a good time with this advisor or advisors from this space? Like, what can they do?
I think employees have immense power.
Okay.
But the challenge is that if you don't know what you don't know,
Thami,
then the power is as useless as it could be.
Because you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't even know when it's going wrong.
Exactly.
Oh no, but you are just there.
You're just drinking.
How are you wielding this power if you have no knowledge on how to wield it? How are you questioning the employer if you don't know what you're questioning? You will find that employees over the years and through history have sharpened their skill on wage negotiation, where there's organized labor that has sharpened its skill and has helped employees get better wages over years. But the sharpening of that skill hasn't transferred onto employee benefits. To understand what is it that we have as employee benefits, who is supporting these employee benefits, and what voice can we bring up to ensure that these benefits actually are beneficial to our workforce. So that question is quite difficult to answer.
Absolutely, I get
when
how,
there's no
yes.
knowledge there.
Because it almost feels like you either build the knowledge gap or you bring in an oversight. And I mean, I don't see the oversight coming. The oversight can come from what, regulation?
Yes, a regulation, but regulation is far removed.
Yes.
And hence you will see the magic in the pillars of success that I spoke to you about earlier on, to say we're building trust, but out of trust, we're also building financial literacy, which then brings upon the use of that power, which then uplifts a whole community.
Yeah, you're giving people the language to go to their employers. This healthcare parking service you're giving us, it's like it's suitable, you know.
And also to add on Thami, that's why we also empower employers when we set up committees for them.
Okay.
To look after these employee benefits. They need to have representation from people from the employee side.
Across all 5 generations.
Able to understand and interpret further. Because gone are the days where the employer would dictate, this is a committee, this is only the people who are going to be on the committee. But I think this regulation is changing, and this is prescribing what needs to happen. So it's important for us, and we do it very brilliantly with us, to make sure the people that the employees put on is people who will plow back.
Yes.
Not people who just sit there and have the nice muffins in a meeting and then go
and take notes.
And they don't plow it back. Because we will measure it from a consulting point of view to see that these people are actually countering what we are doing and they're assisting us in helping these people. So it's quite important as well to make sure that whatever the employer does, what we help them with, you draw the employee in through either employee representatives that are going to add value to that, or you yourself as the consultant.
Sounds like a bargaining council.
It sounds like a bargaining council, but imagine the power of taking that a step further.
Yes.
Not only is it a MANCO that's made up of employee and employer representation, but you also take the service providers, the product houses.
Oh, nice.
You also put them in one room.
Nice.
They need to understand the objectives of the employer and the trends and concerns of the employees.
Yes.
They need to all face in the same direction. So the solutions that they bring about and the servicing that they bring to these employees is all in one direction. We can't have the medical aid doing one thing and then someone else is doing, and nobody's giving the data in a consistent manner that allows the employer to make proper decisions on behalf of employees. So that's the magic that you can actually extend it to saying everybody is speaking and singing from the same hymn sheet.
Sure, and that's what makes a great melody, right? Is when everybody's speaking from the same hymn sheet, and the song is not a nuisance to the employee, but also not to the employer. Because I think at the end of the day, yes, the employer is part of this ecosystem. And I like what you had said, Paul, that who we work for ultimately is that end user of these employee benefits, and it is the employee. And we need to make sure that we're servicing that employee.
Important.
What a powerful conversation. Man, I enjoyed it so much. And as we're closing off, I can't let you go without asking you a very, very simple but very pertinent question. I start with you, Paul. What is the number one money rule you're teaching your daughter?
Hey, Yana. So, I told you I'm an analogy type of guy.
Yes.
And there's a profound statement that I love that was done by the previous president, TM. He says, if
I was about to ask which one. Let's be specific, which president we're talking about.
Yes. The other one is number problems. Where he said, if you at any point misdiagnose the problem, the cure will always be incorrect. So when I look at my daughter, and it comes from the agreement and the lessons I've had from my own parents. I compete with my own dad. That's the only person I compete with, because he told me the only thing you must do for me is be better than I am.
Yes.
And that's the legacy I have for my daughter. She must be better than I am. I'm going to try and get you to this point. You must build up And while building up, as you see me doing, pull others along.
Yeah.
Because the greatest asset in your life is the people who surround yourself, not the money I'm gonna take. So that's the financial legacy I'm giving.
I love that. I mean, it's so relevant even in just what we're speaking about. If you misdiagnose the issue thereby employee benefits, the solution you're bringing is wrong. But at the same time, the employer must remember that their power lies in the employees. There is no organization without the employees. You have a building, you have systems, you have executive, and that's about it.
They're just a vehicle.
Right?
Yeah.
Thami?
Well, I have a set of twins,
Yes.
which are 5 years old.
Oh.
So therefore, as we are talking about different generations,
Yes.
and then I have a son who's 15,
Okay.
how I communicate with the two can't be the same.
Absolutely.
Because the understanding level is not the same.
Yeah.
It also applies to employees as well. You need to take them on a journey. You can't now start talking in jargon and in language, trying to impress them in a language that they don't understand. You're gonna actually turn them off in terms of what you are trying to achieve with them. So with my daughters, it's just saving.
Yes.
They have a nice box that's a Valentine's box that my wife bought me a gift in many years ago, which is big enough for them to just throw in.
Throw it in.
All
Whatever
the
they
money,
get.
yeah, from their gogos, from their
Yes.
uncle.
Tooth fairy.
Tooth fairy.
Yes.
This year there were two
Yes.
tooth fairies. They throw it in there. And then with my son who's 15 years old, and he started actually making his own money at the age of 6.
Oh, fantastic.
So he's used to making money.
Yes.
And when we started off back then, it was do not spend money you don't have. At that point in time, he needed to understand that my money
It's not
my
his
money.
money.
It's not his.
Yes.
So in order for him to spend money, he needed to make his own money. And that's how we got into an entrepreneurial spirit of saying, if my dad and my mom can do it, I can do it as well. I'm proud to say he's making headways in terms of what he does in selling products that are in need to his peers.
Yes. He understands his market.
Quite correct. Quite correct. He's now busy trying to buy a new PC that's worth $9,000, but to him it's not even a challenge.
Yes.
Because he can actually see himself getting there quite soon. He was telling me this morning that in 2 weeks' time I should have this money to buy this PC. So don't spend money you don't have.
And budgets, plan for the things that you want. There's a saying by one of the authors that I love reading her books. She says, you can have everything you want. You just can't have everything at the same time. And I think that is just like, it speaks to what your son has learned over the years to be able to do. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you very much, Nicolette. It was quite a wonderful experience to be with you, and I enjoyed it.
I also enjoyed. I enjoyed our conversation. I think you brought it down to all of our level. You explained so well that I think I have a lot of questions. But I like that I had those questions because I think it, as a future employer myself, it's a very great start to thinking about outward looking and not inward looking as an employer, because sometimes you're doing the numbers and the bottom line is not coming together. And I like that you the offering that you're speaking about is not just these great mega corporates. You're talking even to SMEs. We see many SMEs in South Africa that are doing really well, that have staff complement of over 100, 200 that would definitely benefit from the services that ASI Financial Services has, especially within the employee benefit space. So thank you very much for making the time.
No, thank you.
Right, if you're at home and you're wondering, what can I do as an employee to get my employer on board and, start looking at employee benefits a little bit differently, do schedule your call with ASI Financial Services. I think it's really a conversation worth having. It's been an absolutely amazing time with these gentlemen in studio, and I think we've really educated the masses as much as we can. And remember that ASI does have a channel on YouTube. It is called ASI Biz Exchange, and that's where you can get hold of all of the other content that they've got. They've got a very, very interesting and educational podcast, also called ETA Search Fund, that you can find there. And until then, thank you very much for tuning in.